What's going on, boxing fans? Julian Williams here with the Distance. Got a video for you guys. This one is Kermit Cintron versus Saul Alvarez. Bout takes place on November 26th in Mexico City on HBO. So pretty much, this is about that a lot of people are actually talking about, and a lot of opinions are swaying both ways with this fight with Saul Alvarez and Kermit Cintron. Kermit Cintron just came off of a victory that's been disputed over Antoine Smith back in August, I want to say. It was like the first Friday of August when that fight happened. And also like a month before he fought Carlos Molina and lost after, a layoff. So what Kermit Cintron brings to this fight is he has experience. He has experience, he has length, and, length in his jab and a powerful right hand. And a right hand that can could possibly knock out, any opponent that it lands flush on. But also, even though he has, power in that right hand, he does have decent overall boxing ability. But the problem is mentally, he does freeze. He freezes mentally, and when he freezes mentally, sometimes he doesn't last. Some see him as an underachiever. So pretty much, Kermit Cintron in this fight is gonna have. I hope that he's sparring a lot of rounds, because he proved in that fight with Carlos Molina why boxers need to spar and why sparring is important. Because he was just off in that fight. He just looked off. You could tell he had been out of the ring for a long time, and just you could just tell he hadn't been sparring. His punches were just out of position. He was easily cut off. Molina was always in front of him. So you could tell back in July that he hadn't really sparred all that much. And I hope he's sparring a lot for this specific fight in Mexico City. Keyword, Mexico City. So in this fight against Saul Alvarez, what's going to be important is knowing the size of the ring, of course. The size of the ring is going to be important for this fight, because Cintron actually tends to do well in big rings, except for the fight against Sergio Martinez, of course. He does well in bigger rings. Look at the fight with Angulo, when Angulo continued to come forward and he snuck in the right hand and snuck in the jab, or jabbed underneath Angulo's punches and used his footwork to, get him into a position to where, he could work from, to where he could create angles, where he used the ring and just set up, was setting up his shots. And it was like the perfect fight for Cintron. Other than the fight with Teddy Reed, this was like the perfect fight for Cintron. Cintron did well in that fight, and it was a bigger ring, and he knew how to, and he's a tall fighter, so he had a lot of room to work from. So if this is a bigger ring, this could actually favor Kermit Cintron, but a smaller ring could actually favor Alvarez. But in this fight, he actually wants Alvarez to come towards him. He wants Alvarez to come towards him, and he wants to get him with the right hand. He won't, the jab is going to be an important weapon for Cintron if Cintron decides to come in and be aggressive in this fight. And maybe being aggressive could work for Cintron in this fight. He has to keep Alvarez at the end of his jab. He has to try to maintain a fast pace for an entire fight for 12 rounds. And also but to be honest with you, I think that Cintron wants to go for the knockout in this fight. This is a dangerous fight for Alvarez. To be honest with you, it's a dangerous fight because Cintron has power in that right hand. He has power in the right hand, and he has experience. So in this fight, if Cintron doesn't mentally lapse, I think he has to come in, he has to pressure him, he has to keep him at the end of his jab, and sneak in that right hand. Sneak in the right hand, pressure him coming forward, using the jab, using the length, using length. Have Alvarez come towards him, sneak in the right hand, and tying up is going to be important for Cintron in this fight. He has to tie up. He has to use the jab on the outside, and have no infighting with Alvarez. He has to make Alvarez chase him, and also not be aggressive in this fight. He has to land before Alvarez. He has to land, and when Alvarez throws, he has to return the shots. But also, what he wants to do is he wants to set up Alvarez with the right hand. You can tell his timing has been off, because his right hand has been off in the last couple fights. But I hope he has timing in this fight, because he has fought a couple times. But if his timing's on, he wants to time him with the right hand coming inside to try to go for the knockout. And it's as simple as that for Cintron. Saul Alvarez in this fight, I think what will be important for Saul Alvarez is to go to the body early. He has to go to the body early to take away the mobility of Cintron. But the thing is, he has to try to double jab his way inside to try to get to the body, because he has to double jab his way inside so he doesn't get caught with the right hand coming in. So he has to double jab his way inside, go to the body. I don't think he wants to sit and wait in this fight, because he doesn't want Cintron to get like any type of momentum. He was able to get away. I mean, Alfonso Gomez was able to get away with it, but because a lot of people knew it was a matter of time until he was going to be knocked out. But against the Kermit Cintron, I just don't think he needs to wait in this fight. I don't think he needs to wait for Cintron to come towards and try to be the counter puncher and be defensive in this fight. I think he wants to come in. He wants to start early. He wants to go to the body, but he has to double jab his way in. And as he double jabs his way in, he also wants to use the jab on the outside. He wants to, I think he wants to use the right hook inside. Even look to counter Cintron's right hand, because when his right hand is off, like Cintron doesn't. Sometimes that right hand comes down and he lowers it, and his chin is exposed. So when he lowers that right hand, he needs to counter with the left hook over his right hand. And pretty much, I think he needs to take the fight to Cintron. Cintron doesn't like when opponents take the fight to him. And Alvarez needs to come in and just take the fight to Cintron. And pretty much shorten up his punches inside, go to the body, and I think he could very well beat Kermit Cintron if he can double jab his way in, go to the body, counter Cintron's right hand, and even circle more to Cintron's left. If he circles to his left, then more than likely he's not going to throw the right hand. And if he does throw the right hand, it lands, it's not going to get the full force or full effect, because he's moving, towards another side. Opponents that have been put down by that right hand are opponents that stood in front of him. So Alvarez wants to move a lot towards Cintron's left. So who I think is going to win this fight? I don't think that Kermit Cintron is going to get a decision victory in Mexico unless he puts Alvarez down a few times. He has to put him down a few times to get a decision victory over Alvarez in Mexico City, and I don't think he's going to put him down a few times. I'm going to go with Saul Alvarez winning a decision in this fight. So anyway, peeps, I'm out of here. That was The Distance. Thanks for watching. Peace.